All right, we're back with another Roundabout Wimbledon. Privileged to have Chris Clarey from the New York Times. Welcome, Chris.
Welcome.
And Kevin Mitchell from The Guardian.
Glad to be here.
Kevin, how many Wimbledons for you?
Well, I first came here in '75 as a paying customer and remember seeing the Armitage brothers on number one court. That's my first. I don't know who they played. I can't remember. But
It doesn't get any more exciting than the Armitage brothers.
They were good.
Yeah.
They were amazing. In fact, Vijay's here. He's been in the Royal Box a couple of times. Yeah.
Chris Clarey, how many for you?
Well, in '75, I was back home in Washington, D.C. with my mom watching on TV there. But 1990 was my first, Martinez last, and I've probably come 20 plus times since then, and always with great pleasure. Yeah.
The two of you are fine wordsmiths. What do you write about Wimbledon? You go to all the other Grand Slams, but what is special about writing about Wimbledon?
Well, I just think the history is just part of the fabric here more than any other tournament, and it's great fun to weave that into your copy and all that. And also, I just feel like the interest in the readers for the details of Wimbledon. You could write about anything, basically, that's an insider thing, a part of the grounds that you haven't written about before, you know, the latest thing that's happening with the crowd. The readers are voracious about Wimbledon in a way they aren't about the other slams. They really want things that put them in this environment and give them an inside look. So that makes it a lot of fun to write about. It actually, in some ways, makes it the easiest slam to write about for that reason, yeah.
How about you, Kevin?
Well, for 77 years, we had plenty to not write about, and then Andy Murray came along, and that changed the whole dynamic of the place. And it sort of brought it alive, as did the Olympics in 2012, when it was a completely different atmosphere. But yeah, as Chris says, I mean, there's just so much history in this place. I mean, look at the Ivy, or that's probably been there since 1890 something. Yeah, it's just a great place. It's like a little city. And if you talk to some of the staff that are here, they're here pretty much all year round. And there's always something going on, or there's no tennis being played apart from Wimbledon. Although they have had a Davis Cup tie here many years ago. But yeah, it's a little bit like the National. You know, it's kept for one event, for the Masters in Augusta, pretty much. And that's why it seems even more special than it already is.
This is a bit of a tricky question, but this is a very regimented, rule-oriented place. Can Kevin Mitchell think of some way to make Wimbledon a little more whimsical?
Gee, I'm sort of drawn to breaking rules, actually, Tom. I've probably broken one or two here, actually. I don't know. I'll tell you what, the military who do the stewarding on centre court, they're all very precise and, regimental in every single way, but they do a pretty good job. And they're always hugely polite. I had a little run-in with one of them a few years ago, but we apologised to each other and got on with it. But yeah, it just sort of works. It's an amazing thing. And when, before the roof, when it would rain here, somehow they would always get it done. I mean, I marvel at how they do that. And you think, well, we're going to be playing till the following Wednesday. And yet they did it. They always squeeze all the matches in.
Chris Clarey, making Wimbledon a little more whimsical?
You know, I got to tell you, I don't think I'd change a thing, only because there's a lot of disorder and chaos elsewhere in the tennis world, my goodness, right now in particular, on the political fronts. And a lot of the other tournaments, they're talking during the points, they're sneaking in on the changeovers, they're doing all these kinds of things. So we get plenty of that the rest of the year. It's nice to have it all kind of be orderly and timeless here at Wimbledon. Although I have to say, they've updated things quite a lot here, and the mood in this place from the first time I came in 1990, as a cherub-cheeked reporter, was pretty standoffish. They've opened up the gates quite a lot here, a lot more user-friendly, and they're pretty 21st century on a lot of stuff, too.
Kevin Mitchell has written a book about Muhammad Ali. Kevin, would there be a Muhammad Ali among the current bunch of tennis players, especially obviously the male players?
Well, Roger, I guess, is the closest you're going to get to Muhammad Ali in terms of achievement and stature and everything else. Yeah, I mean, he's a standout special guy, isn't he? And that's why when he lost the other day, there's always a sense of disbelief when Federer loses. It's sort of, you just expect him to win because he wins 9 times out of 10. I mean, nobody comes too close to that apart from, the big four as has been. But yeah, I guess Roger, I mean, there's no escaping the fact he's Mr. Perfect, he's Superman, he's everything. He's got this army of devotees who you cannot say anything wrong about Roger.
What about Muhammad Ali's repartee and his, with the journalists?
that respect.
No, also in that respect.
Ernest Goulbish.
Easy.
He tells it like it is.
I often think of myself as a North American tennis writer as Chris Clarey light. And this is a very debonair fellow. I sometimes wonder if beneath this breezy exterior, there's a deep thinking, philosophical kind of guy.
Not a chance. Too many deadlines to meet, man. No time for that. When's the next one? Probably pretty soon coming up. I might miss it actually if I stay here too long. No, I think tennis is one of those sports, and Kevin would know this the best of all the sports he's covered for decades and so very well. I just think it's, the more times you come, you add another little layer, and sure, you're going to forget stuff. The French have this expression, it's like wisdom's after you've forgotten everything, it's what's left, and I think over time, as you come to Wimbledon and you see the years go by and the champions come through, inevitably it makes you better at what you do because you just have it all to kind of reference and look back on and you compare things to it. And that's what's nice about this sport is that, you come out on any given day, you got the players that are there now playing the game and they're lasting longer, but you also got all the coaches and former champs that are here as analysts. So you get access to this whole multi-generational trove of sage thoughts and past matches, and that's a great thing about tennis. Not every sport has that.
What do you tell your friends who come here who may not have been here before, what to expect, or how do they react when they actually come?
Well, the hard thing is just getting in here. That's a tricky thing. Not everybody wants to go camp out in the queue, and the tickets are getting more expensive. I know this year with the Federer Mania, just booking ahead of time and even through the regular brokers was extremely difficult. It's one of the hardest tickets in sports, especially for center court. So I tell them first of all, plan way ahead, but I say come because some things in sports and life in general, a lot of them are letdowns. You see it on TV or you look at it from a distance and you show up and it just never quite lives up to it. I think Wimbledon does. It's a little crowded, maybe little things are a little different than you expect, but the whole feeling on site is worth it for me.
Strangely enough, my first Wimbledon was 75, as Kevin said, and Arthur Ashe said exactly that. It's one of the great events of the world that you're not disappointed by what you might have heard ahead of time. So, Kevin, this place is known, the official drink here is Pimm's, and I've checked into it. It's 3/4 lemonade, and there's some gin liqueur. Then you've got chopped up strawberries, mint, chopped up cucumber. Are you kind of a little bit ashamed that that's the official drink as an Englishman of Wimbledon?
I am, yeah. It's terrible. I can't stand the stuff. It's just part of, as Chris was saying, it's all part of the fabric of the event. I mean, there is no fortnight when you're going to go out looking for strawberries and cream every day. I mean, you don't think about it until you get here. Same with Pimm's, I guess. And do you know there's Pimm's number 1 and number 2 cup? There's 2 different sort of Pimm's.
Fill me in, Kevin.
Well, that's all I know, really. That's it. And you can get it at Henley as well, which is part of the summer season. Ascot, Henley, Wimbledon, the Open. It's all part of that sort of circuit. And I guess we go a bit crazy, and just everybody drinks stuff they don't normally drink, or strawberries and cream as well, and whatever else is going out there.
So am I to assume maybe that number 2 Pimm's has slightly more kick to it?
Probably, yeah. Well, let's say yes. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
And Chris Clarey is a man of the world. How do you find the drinking and eating experiences in London, and specifically here at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club?
I wish I could say I've really lived the high life here this year especially. It's been kind of crazy just trying to get through the summer with the World Cup and everything else. I came here from Russia this time, so I've been just trying to get through it. But no, I think it's great. And definitely it's improved a lot over the years. I think that I still would rather be eating in Melbourne or Paris, frankly, but here on site, pretty good. The media dining is not bad. Good sushi, and don't have too many Pimm's, but I've had a couple beers on that press bar, and that's all right.
Just the last quickie, who would be the most impressive person you've seen or met or dealt with over all these years at Wimbledon?
That's a tough one to think about, like off the top of my head there. I guess just based on the whole arc of his career, the way he's handled all these different situations, and it's a total cliche, but it's tennis triumph and tennis disaster. But I got to go with Federer, to be honest with you, just in terms of how he's been here, going on close to 20 years now. There's been a lot of moments when he could have, handled them poorly or shown some peak. He's got the staying power. He's keeping a certain type of tennis alive, and I think he's probably the one that'll stick in the memory the most when I finish this up.
Well, Kevin, you don't have to say Andy Murray. What would you say? Andy Murray?
I love Andy Murray. Yeah, I mean, what Chris says is very true about Federer. But the guy for me, and I've sat down and talked to him a couple of times, that goes right across the ages for me is Rod Laver. And comes from a simpler, more uncomplicated era. Didn't really have a coach as such. I mean, he had Harry Hopman with the Davis Cup team, but generally, he used to say that my coaches were Lou Hode, Ken Rosewell, all those guys. You know, it took him 3 days to fly from Australia to get to Wimbledon. Usually, they'd stop off in Rome, perhaps, and just lived a different life completely for a lot less money. And he got 2 Grand Slams. I mean, that's just extraordinary. And probably would have got more if he hadn't been banished for turning professional when he did. So, and he's just such an amazing, dignified, really likable individual. I mean, we bumped into him in Rome last year at dinner. He was sitting at the next table, and we chatted for, I guess, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. And he's just so ordinary in that respect. He's just a really, really nice guy. And he played tennis in a completely different way with the old rackets, didn't hit the ball very hard. Not because he couldn't, because you didn't do that in those days. And it was just amazing to be around when he was around.
Right. Kevin Mitchell, Chris Clarey, thanks very much for being on Roundabout Wimbledon. We'll be back soon.